Hey guys, welcome to Tech Talk by Gaurav Sharma. Today we're going to be talking about how Cisco leverages MITRE ATT&CK Framework to protect organizations from ransomware. Ransomware has become a big problem recently for the organizations. Over the recent years, it has become more sophisticated, more pervasive, and more available for the attackers, meaning one can go to the dark web and buy these ransomware as a service softwares and can launch a ransomware attack with just a few clicks of buttons. So it's pretty wild. And now that it's so available, if your organization is under a ransomware attack, it doesn't mean that there's someone sitting across the world is launching these attacks. It could very well be a college student in your neighborhood that's looking to make some money and performing these actions. So, and organizations want nothing to do with ransomware because the ransomware brings bad reputation for the company. It brings a lot of loss in money, a lot of legalities, legal fines, and just the unavailability of resources that impact the overall organization. So how do we protect ourselves from these ransomware attacks? Well, before we talk about that, we need to understand how exactly ransomware works. Ransomware is just like any other malware that once it infects your system, it encrypts all the files and leaves instructions for the users to on how to pay the ransom. Once the user pays the ransom, the attacker then sends the decryption key to the user, so using which they can access their resources. But who's to say that while they encrypted your files, they did not already take a copy of it? Right? So we want to make sure that we are protecting ourselves from these ransomwares at every cost. So when we talk about strategy on how to protect ourselves, MITRE Corporation, which is a non-profit government advisory agency, has come up with this framework where they have categorized the cyber attack into different phases. Let's look at these phases. These phases are for cyber attack are initial access, execution, persistence, privilege escalation, defense evasion, credential access, discovery, lateral movement, collection, command and control, exfiltration, and impact. So out of all these phases, the first 6 phases until credential access are all about gaining access to the network. So if you think about it from an attacker standpoint, how would you try to get access to a network? Generally, it's done using like you can social engineer your way into the network, or you can infect the endpoint itself, or you can use like stolen credentials to get into a system, right? So we want to make sure that we are protecting ourselves from all those bases, and we have a good firewalling system in place that is protecting us from all the way to from layer 3 to layer 7. We are protecting our endpoints with a robust endpoint protection solution, along with a secure way of accessing internet from a credential standpoint. And you were using things like multi-factor authentication and such measures to get into the network so that no one can use your stolen passwords. Once we protect ourselves from a network entry standpoint, unfortunately, there's always going to be unpatched systems or zero-day exploits that these attackers can utilize. So what if there's already something existing in your network that the attackers can utilize and launch an attack, right? So what happens when you are under an attack? That kind of talks about the next phases of this attack, right? Discovery, lateral movement, collection, command and control, exfiltration, and impact. Once someone is able to get into the network, they will try to go as wide as possible. So we want to make sure that we limit their movement as limited as possible. And so basically I'm talking about segmentation, right? We should be able to segment the traffic in our environment, not only the on-prem resources, but also the resources that are sitting in the cloud. So even though someone impacts our or infects our system, they're not able to go beyond a certain segment. That's how you control it, right? And as we talked about, like how this whole ransomware works, right? It basically works on a command and control architecture. So we need to have a strong DNS security protection in place as well. And the key thing is we need to make sure that all these things are talking to each other, right? All the measures that we put in place to protect ourselves, they need to be talking to each other. Just take an example, right? We have an endpoint security solution that once a system that detects that there is the system got infected by some sort of malware or ransomware, then what happens is, in an ideal world, it should tell the DNS security solution that, okay, I see that my system or this system has been impacted by this ransomware. Now we need to disconnect all or close all the DNS connection or any other connection from this host to anywhere, right? So that way, if the DNS connection between the attacker and the victim is broken, you have successfully stopped a ransomware attack. So the key here is that even though we talk about these different solutions, the key here is that all these solutions need to work together to make a robust solution that works, right? So, and Cisco does it the same way, right? With Cisco, we use our next-gen firewalls. We use our Cisco Secure Endpoint and Duo to protect the entry point of our network, right? It could be in the cloud, and it could be on-prem as well, right? So our DNS level security, our layer 7 security is taken care by Umbrella, and our on-prem security is taken care by firewalls that are in place, our next-gen firewalls. Cisco Secure Endpoint protects the endpoints, and Duo protects the credential access aspect of it. And the best part is they all talk to each other, right? So the example that we just talked about, that if one thing gets infected, that solution is able to talk to the other solution and be able to correlate the data and work together as a complete security architecture. And this is about the entry point. Like, what if something gets into the network? That's where Cisco's tetration solution and Cisco's ATTCK solution comes into play, where they help to segment the network so that once something gets in the way, in the place, we are able to limit their activity or movement or lateral access into that, right? So that's just how we make it a whole solution to protect ourselves from ransomware. And to kind of learn more about it, reach out to your accounts team, and I'm going to drop some links here for you to go over. And thank you.